So, how are we all doing, people? I'm just having a wee discussion with myself here and a wee look through asking the questions. Now, obviously, we take claims that are being made to us. So, the pressured gaseous environment of Earth adjacent to a vacuum, the medium that is the vacuum, we know that to be 100% false. It's demonstrably false. We understand it through, practical application of physics and the understanding of the substances and the behaviour between high pressure and low pressure environments. We know that we have to have a solid barrier between a high pressure and a low pressure environment, or it's going to seek to find the equilibrium 100% of the time, regardless of what you're utilising and using in everyday practical physics. That is the case. So this isn't about, disproving the vacuum of space. This is about clearing up some of the moronic notions that are out there from people who profess to be educators. In particular, I'm going to talk about this guy, Conspiracy Cats, again. My attention was drawn to one of his latest uploads. So I'm going to share that in a wee minute, and then I'm going to, walk through some various aspects of it, just to highlight and show the total absurdity of people like him and the total nonsense that they try and spew to the unwitting onlooker, right? So, and again, you've got to remember that people like that are trying to have influence over your children, and they're giving them a false sense of reality, trying to portray pseudoscience and pass it off as some sort of physical, definite part of their existence, and it's just bullshit. We've established motion requires a pressure. You need something pressing on something else in order to make something move. So we'll get to that. I'm going to play the wee snippet from his video, and then we'll have a look at some other bits and bobs. But this is just to clear a few things up and for me to speak it out, because there is some people who are still stuck on, space and fucking rockets and wee men going to the moon and all that rubbish. So hopefully, some of this will help to show them the total absurdity and the lunacy of it. So they talk a lot about, Newton's law, equal and opposite reaction. But again, we'll get to that and what it's actually talking about. So let me just get right into this. So let me see. This is baldy twats, cats, whatever. Absolute roaster. Get this.
Like this.
Reduces recoil, wait here, the reasons why.
Now a suppressor works because the diameter of the suppressor is much larger than the diameter of the barrel of the gun, and when the hot gases leave the barrel of the gun, they expand and immediately drop in pressure. This lower pressure means they leave the suppressor at much lower velocity, and therefore the change of momentum of the gases leaving the gun is much smaller, which means...
So, the bigger area, right? What's the vacuum of space then? Is that not just like a big barrel, a big empty barrel? Conspiracy Cats, are you kind of debunking yourself here, son, by just saying that?
Is the change of momentum of the gun in the opposite direction, or the recoil of the gun, is much smaller. Now this sounded like I was getting close to the answer to me, but not quite 100%. So I
does make the recoil smaller.
Reynolds number.
It makes the recoil smaller because, just as you say, there's a bigger area here, so the hot air moves into it and there's less back pressure. Now I'm going to just highlight a wee couple of videos in regards to back pressure for ye Conspiracy Cats and other deluded, confused, heliocentric globe peoples out there, and how your physical reality is actually working. So just think about what he's just said here. Okay, the high pressure from the gun and the gases coming out of the smaller tube into the wider, where it's a decrease in pressure, so you'll get less pushback, you'll get less recoil. In here, right, this opposite and equal reaction stuffsies. Now, in any chamber, when the ball is in the chamber, okay, the explosive part is in here between the solid wall of the chamber. You get your combustible part in there between it and the projectile. Okay, Now as that expands up, and it's going to find the lowest path of resistance, which is obviously the barrel of the cannon. So it's firing the ball, okay? So as it expands and pushes the ball forward, the ball is being met by air. It's air resistance. It's then causing a back pressure, which causes the recoil, which causes the cannon to shoot in the other direction. Now, without any blockage in there, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get a recoil. You need the expansion to happen to be pushing on something else. Now, if you've got something that can move, then obviously now you've got a back pressure. You're going to feel that same force pushing back on it. But you require something to be pushing over. Now, in the vacuum of space, there isn't anything. Now, if it's not in the barrel and it's not got a directed trajectory, it's just going to explode anywhere. It'll find the least path of resistance and it'll eject from that point. But if you've got it in a contained barrel, it's going to move along the barrel, okay, and build up pressure coming out even faster. So when we're looking at jet engines, like an aeroplane, it's the exact same principle. Only when it's coming out the back, it's pushing against the air that's already there. Now, I'm going to show you this wee thing from Julius Sumner Miller just to make this point.
By events which are dramatic for the soul. Here is a sheet of paper, about 20 inches one way and 30 the other. 600 square inches. On each square inch, 15 pounds of air. 600 times 15, 9,000 pounds of air. And you know, as I did before, I'll do it once again. I cannot move the weight of that air. There it is. And
So, he hit that with a bit of force. So the force that he's hitting that way, if you push it slowly, obviously you're going to lift the paper up. But as you hit it with a hard force, the air pressure resists it and it snaps the wood. Because you need something pushing against it. You need something to resist in order to have that recoil or that equal and opposite reaction. Without that, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so let's just go back to this. Now, I don't know what it is with these people. I don't know if they're just genuinely liars or they're just trying to deceive themselves so that they can confirm a bias that they may have because they're too scared to look at themselves and realise that there's lies being told. Now, what they've done here is they've got a tube that they say they've vacuumed out, okay? They've now switched the vacuum off, so it's just a sealed tube. What they should do is keep the vacuum running. Keep the vacuum running, okay? Because as soon as this comes out, the air and the gas in there is going to expand rapidly and fill this void, hence giving it something to push over. Now watch carefully as the cap pops off, right? Because there's nothing to push backwards. There is no recoil. As the cap bursts off, there's nothing to resist it. So you don't get any opposite reaction. Once the gas starts to come out and fill that void, then you'll see it starting to move. But only once the gas has started to leak into it. Okay, so you can see very little, if any, motion, recoil of that going in that direction with that popping off. Now look at the amount of time, look how much of this is filling this here. Now it's built up enough air pressure in there, there's enough material, there's enough stuff in there for it to now have something to push against. The guy's just trying to reaffirm a bias that he has. His test is flawed, hugely flawed, because he doesn't have a continuous vac pump running. He switched it off and he sealed the chamber. So now inside there, it's the same with any ignition like gunpowder or, you know, like a bullet. You can see the same thing of firing a bullet. It's the exact same thing. Now when the cap pops off, you've now got gas rushing out into there. There's particulates now within that chamber. So as it builds that up, then it starts to move because it now has something to push against. Same as water, same as a jet. So anybody knows, you know, you take that boat out of water, it's not going to move anywhere. It needs the density of the water the diameter of that jet, the propulsion system on that is the diameter. It's not enough. It's not got enough thrust to have momentum pushing against the air. It needs to be in the liquid, the water, the more dense medium. So these principles are understood. I don't know why guys like conspiracy cats are having a real hard time. Right? The reason they're having a hard time is because they know the implications. They're going to desperately try and invoke real practical physics to try and hijack it and plant it onto their nonsensical drivel of vacuums. Now the whole Newton's law, opposite and equal reaction, again, just like in any system, like, you know, an internal combustion engine, you know, once the chamber's sealed, okay, you have the explosion that ignites the fuel and the air mixture, okay? Now it's got nowhere to go. That follows the least path of resistance, which is the piston that's connected to the crankshaft, okay? So as it explodes and it expands, it's forcing the piston down within the sealed chamber. Now if you seize that piston and had the explosion, nothing's going to go anywhere. So in an example like this, when we have recoil, so anybody that's seen a cannon being fired, it fires the cannon and it pushes backwards, right? But that's only the case because it has this projectile here, and it has a solid wall, a chamber that the combustible is in, okay? Now as that is ignited and it expands, it forces the cannonball outwards, but as the cannonball is being forced, it's meeting air, right? So like just in water, move your hand slowly through water, you can feel how easy it is. Now try and move it quickly through water. You can feel that resistance, that pushback. Okay? It's the same with air. It's a fluid, right? Just in a different form, right? Liquid and fluid is just liquid, okay? In a different state. But it's the same principles that apply. So if you've got something like this and you move it, you can see there's no much recoil or resistance. As soon as I do that, I'm getting pushback. So you're getting that opposite and equal reaction to the movement, okay? Pushing back on it. So it's the same thing. Now, that only happens because the cannon's meeting air resistance, which forces the cannon in the opposite direction. Without the air resistance, something to push over, you're not going anywhere. It's very simple. So maybe guys like conspiracy cats should get back to some practical real world physics, real engineering, how motors work. What does a turbo do? What is back pressure in your exhaust system? How does it work? How can it be utilised?
Valve will open and atmospheric pressure will push the air-fuel mixture into the cylinder. Well, what we do is we force that into the engine under pressure, and that's what this supercharger does.
Understand the drivel that you try and attach to total nonsensical, idiotic, no real world physics, off-world, mathematical, abstract fantasy realms. There is no vacuum. There's no such thing as a naturally occurring vacuum. We don't exist in a medium that's a vacuum, without a pressurised environment adjacent to it, without some sort of solid membrane between it. Now, taking all that away and suspending that to get into the idiotic notions of rockets. Propulsion only works when there's something to push over. Only when there's something to resist it. That's when you get the opposite reaction. When there's nothing to resist it, you're not going anywhere. Okay? Opposite and equal reaction and all that stuff's baldy cats. Only because there's air there to resist it. Take the air away, you have no resistance. You don't have recoil. You don't have an opposite reaction. So please stop waffling shite and try and understand your actual world that you're living in. Just so I can make it clear. In this scenario, when the cannon is in here, you've got a solid wall here. Now between the solid wall and the cannon ball, you have your gunpowder. Now as that's ignited and it expands, it's pushing against all the surrounding walls and the projectile. The projectile can move, okay? You get pushback because as that expands, it's pushing against the projectile, which is pushing against the air pressure, which gives you recoil, which gives you an opposite reaction. Take away that, what a rocket is no fire in a cannon. It's just an open chamber of expanding gas. Right? So when it's rushing out in the vacuum, empty vacuum of space, there is nothing resisting it. So you're not going to get an opposite reaction. The equal and opposite reaction only happens within a system like that. When you've got a solid wall, or even if you put if that was an open end there and an open end there, and you put a cannon at that side and a cannon at that side and a detonator explosive in between them, the two of them are going to shoot out. Block one end off. Expands, pushes the cannon. Right, so you've got a resistance on the cannonball. The cannonball is being resisted by the air pressure. Now you've got a recoil, you've got a pushback. Rockets are no firing bullets. It's just gas coming out. That's how a rocket here, a firework, or a jet engine on an aeroplane works. It's compressing the air and firing it out. That's pushing against the air here and propelling it forward. Okay? Now you know this. The faster, if you're on a motorbike and you've got an open face visor on, the faster you go, you feel the resistance even more, pushing you back. When I'm out on my bike doing the speed limit, I start to get strains in the back of my neck because I'm being forced back the way the faster I go. Just make it clear and watch the switcheroo when they talk about these things, because it's two different fucking things altogether. You get a recoil or a pushback, equal and opposite reaction when there's something to push against, which would be the cannonball in this case. Take away the cannonball, take away the air, detonate something in here so that the gas can expand and rush out. It's not going to do anything. There's nothing resisting it. So you're not going to get an opposite reaction. It's fucking simple. It doesn't really matter because it's a physical impossibility for the vacuum of outer space bullocks to be existing. We know that. But I highly doubt these clowns are going to display any honesty. Maybe more people should start displaying their pissed offness. Be vocal and stand up, start shouting a wee bit.